Hello everyone, this is Judge Jackson coming again with another video in my Rashi series, understanding who you are by what the Rashi is trying to convey to you. So as you can tell, have you noticed a trend from the videos that I'm always wearing the color of the particular Rashi that I'm about to discuss? So based on the green, what I'll be talking about today: Virgo or Gemini. So you probably guessed it right, it's either one of them two. So I'm going to be talking about the third Rashi, or the third zodiac sign today, which is Gemini or Mithuna in Sanskrit. So what is Gemini? It's the third sign of the zodiac, is ruled by Mercury, and its symbol are twins. The reason why they're twins, because Gemini is what you would call a movable sign, or something that's adaptable, always changing. So when you have a cardinal, or as they say, dual, or if you have a fixed or a movable or adaptable sign, that's the cycle. Something creates, something preserves, and something changes. And this is Gemini. It's the first adaptable, movable sign that we'll be discussing today. So that's why they're twins. You never know what you're going to get. It's always unpredictable and changing. That's the nature of most Mithuna natives. If you were to go on the chart, again, we're doing sidereal Vedic here. You have Aries that starts in mid-April, Taurus in mid-May, and Gemini starts in mid-June, around June 15th, and it ends July 15th. Again, this is sidereal placement. Gemini doesn't start in late May. No. Gemini really starts in mid-June. And it's easier that way if you think about it. So if you are claiming to be a Gemini and you're born sometime like May 26th, you're not a Gemini. You're still a Taurus. Follow me on that. And that's just your sun placement. It's not who you are. That's just the essence or the Atma of yourself. So if you claim to be Gemini based on the month and the date that you're born, everyone, that's just your sun. That's your soul essence of Gemini, but it's not your ascendant. It's not your moon. It's not your Rahu, your Ketu, your Saturn, your Jupiter, Mercury, or Venus, or Mars. It's just your sun placement. As a matter of fact, if you were to tell me that you're a Gemini, you're only telling me how your father is. Because the sun represents the father in your chart. So, if you claim to be Western, and you go by the Western Gemini placement, you could be telling me about your father in Taurus. He's probably a big dude, very conservative, like to eat. But if it's June 15th through July 15th, I know for certain that your Gemini is sun, and you're telling me about your father, that he's a pretty clever guy, real smart, witty, probably thin, comedian, jokester, prankster, etc. So, now that we got that cleared out the way, I'm going to cover what it means to have Gemini in your chart. Because everyone's a Gemini. All 7 billion of us are Gemini. However, in a particular house where Gemini will be played in your chart. So as I always do, I want to go over what does Gemini mean to you. Because just because you're Gemini ascendant or Gemini moon, that plays a significance on your soul or your ascendant. But Gemini can mean other things. So let's cover that today. All right. Mithuna Lagna, or Gemini in the first house. Your life is about communications. The reason why it's about communications is because your Lagnesh, or planet ruler, is Mercury. Mercury is Hermes. It's the messenger, the prince, the lad, or you tarot card readers, the page. He is the page of your natal chart. And Mercury is considered a benefic. It's a benefic because he wants to learn. He wants to figure things out. He wants to communicate. And he is the only planet that's willing to make so many mistakes, because making mistakes is how you learn. So Gemini ascendants, you come off as looking very youthful, to where people think that you're children. So you come off as adolescents. Excuse me. You come off as adolescents because you have this cheerful, juvenile presence. Very jovial. So you could be a 59-year-old man, but people still think you're 32. And that's a good thing. Gemini ascendants are smart. You guys are smart. So smart to where you think it's a joke now or it's a game because you outwit everyone else. So wherever your Loch Ness or Mercury is placed in your Gemini chart, that's where you're going to mainly display that energy. So Gemini, wherever your Mercury is, that's where you like to flirt, communicate, laugh, and do all other things as far as writing, reading, speaking. That has to work with the hands. Because Gemini is naturally the third sign, and the third sign are the hands. You like to be skillsmen or skillswomen. You like penmanship. You like to fight. You like to communicate and convey. So Gemini is your first house. Pay attention to where your Mercury is, because all Geminis lead a life of speaking. You're not quiet people. You have to talk. You have to communicate. It represents local communities. Now, if Gemini is your second house, that would mean you are now a Taurus ascendant or a Vrishaba Lagna. Why would Gemini be in the second house of a Taurus? Well, the second house, that's the house of speech. It's your face, it's your mouth, your tongue, all of your five senses that are on your face. Taurans are very careful. So when they speak, they want to ascertain everything's good. They don't want anybody to backcross them or backstab them in a way. So the way Taurans talk or the way they look, they would be real keen and clever about it. Because Taurans don't want you to know where their money is. They don't want you to see in their pantry. Because they're very conservative people. And they will say anything, even to the point of lying, to keep you away from their resources. They have to trust you. So again, if you're a Taurus native, you have Gemini in your second house. You will speak a certain way to thwart off possible thieves, enemies, beggars of any sort. So, Gemini in the third house. This makes you the Aries ascendant, or Misha in Sanskrit. With an Aries, you're action-packed, you're dutiful, you got a purpose. So why is Gemini in your third house? That's the natural placement of Gemini, which is strong. So you're naturally going to approach life in a speculative way. You're going to analyze your audience relevance, as they would say, and you're going to calculate who you're going to talk to. For Aries ascendants, for example, if you know you're in an environment where it's a sporting event, you're going to speak and communicate as if it's that. You're not just going to do it for what pertaining to you. It's going to be expedient. So when you're an Aries ascendant and you in your local community, you're going to speak based on that community. And you're going to use hand gestures and techniques to convey a message, because Gemini is naturally the third house to an Aries ascendant. Wherever Gemini is located, that's where you're going to be the most vocal. That's where you're going to be the most active in local surroundings. So Aries are very prominent within their zip code. Keep that in mind, Aries. Now, we're moving on to a Gemini in the fourth house. And this is for the Meena Lagnas, or the Pisces ascendants. Why is Gemini in your fourth house Pisces? Because you grew up with happy-go-lucky parents, mainly the mom. Your mom was real clever. Your mom probably had you at a young age. And Pisces are real laid back. Your type of parents, Geminis like to play around. So if Gemini is your fourth house Pisces, your parents weren't the responsible, mature type. They remained children for a long time. Your parents were probably the youngest born of their birth order. You probably have much older uncles and aunts as far as the avuncular relationships are concerned. But your parents were probably the youngest, probably the smartest, the cutest, vibrant. Pisces, you didn't grow up with helicopter parents or tiger moms or strict authoritative alpha father. No, your parents probably smoked with you, ride bicycles with you, or if you're a mom and you're an adult daughter, they'll probably say, which one is the daughter? Or which one is the mom? Yeah, Pisces, you grew up with fun-loving parents. Now, that's not to say that the parents were great, because a lot of times when you have Gemini in the fourth house, your parents are neglectful, absentee, irresponsible, or act too much like a child themselves. So don't get me wrong, there's a shadow side to everything. And when you have Gemini in the fourth house, there was a lot of quick communications. Your parents may have been immature, but they were fun to be around. Now, I'm going on to the Mithuna Rasi Lagna, or the Aquarius. This is a trachone or a trine placement for Gemini in the natal charts of an Aquarius. It's now your fifth house. Anything fifth from itself is fortune and blessings and fun. This is the only area of an Aquarius to where they can really express themselves, because Aquarians love to talk. The reason why Aquarians love to talk because they're that seasoned veteran. They're that old man that refuses to retire. For example, legendary Hall of Fame wrestler Ric Flair, in his 70s, well in his 70s, still get on the mic, still can do an elbow drop and a figure four leg lock. The man just refuses to retire. And that's how it is with Aquarians. Y'all don't want to retire because you have so much to share to the world and you want them to make it. So with Gemini in your fifth house Aquarians, this is where you could always be vibrant and communicative. Even though you may be a young Aquarius, you're wise. You've done a lot. You've been through a lot because it's ruled by Saturn. Saturn wants you to pay off karma early. Therefore, you walk as if you've done it all and seen it all. But the fifth house where Gemini is, that's the only area where you could reflect and be creative, self-expressive, romantic at times, and clever. So if you got planets in your fifth house Aquarius, that's very significant for you because it's in a trine placement. Your children would also be very Geminiic in nature. So keep that in mind. Now, for the Mithuna Rasis, or the Capricorn ascendants, this is in the inimical placement for your Gemini because it's in the sixth house. Any Rashi that's in the 6th, 8th, or 12th house, that's a Dashtana placement. So when it comes to Capricorns, it's in your 6th house. Your obstacles and enemies, they will always try to outwit you. Yes, it is. Gemini in the 6th house, your enemies, they can be a bit obstinate, intransigent, which means they're stuck on their own way of thinking, unconvincing. Your enemies can also be solipsistic. Only their world exists in him. A real narcissist your enemies are. So keep this in mind, Capricorns. You're going to always try to be knocked off your game because people will talk about you for your accomplishments, how you keep climbing up that corporate ladder, how you keep working hard to get where you are. Your enemies are going to be clever. They're going to be coming after you, and they're going to try to outsmart you. but your work ethic will allow you to persevere. So, sixth house Gemini is also the house of service. The way Geminis like to do service, they want to deliver a message of hope, like something of a law of attraction. And they would do something with their hands to help you. So Capricorns, you also like to create an act of service in that manner. Very philanthropic. You like to serve with your hands because you want to show everybody the scars on your hands from all your hard work. So when Gemini's in your sixth house, Capricorns, your acts of service is through your merit, accomplishments, and speech. And if you got strong placements in your sixth house, everybody will listen to you. You may even be on TED Talks one day. Gemini in the seventh house. Gemini is at the opposite of what it is. So now we're talking about the Mithuna Rasi, or the Sagittarians. Gemini and Sagittarians are opposite. Therefore, they're both smart, both brilliant, but there's a difference. Gemini is more intellectual, while Sagittarius is more philosophical. It attaches a belief of sorts to it, while Gemini relies strictly on knowledge and facts. So Sagittarians, Gemini being in your seventh house, these are the people you will attract. Because a Gemini wants to talk to somebody on their level. However, with the Sagittarian mindset, which brings that philosophy, that bibliography, a Gemini would challenge you, what is that based on? How does that relate? Because they may come with that agnostic approach. So a Gemini wants to try to outwit you. But Sagittarians, you Uranus natives, are the great debaters. You will debate a Gemini, and a Gemini will become attracted to that. So remember, seventh house is other people. Seventh house is partnerships. Seventh house is marriage. It's also business and sexual desires. So you need someone to intellectually stimulate you, which is what, as they would say, a sapiosexual. So if you have Gemini in your seventh house, you want somebody to challenge you up here, not anywhere else. And Geminis have the energy and the libido all in the world to have a good topic and discussion. Gemini in the eighth house. What is Gemini in the eighth house? This is for the Mithuna Rasi, or the Scorpio ascendants. Now, why would Gemini be here for the Scorpios? I'll tell you why. It's the house of humiliation, the house of scandal, death, rebirth, sex, not sexual desires, the house of sex, period, and transformation. Other people's monies and inheritances. So, if somebody were to pass away in your family, Scorpio, you best believe your siblings will be clamoring for it. You are going to have to be smart and witty and know your stuff when it comes to the law, taxes. It's the house of taxes. And Scorpios are naturally the eighth house, so you will thrive there. You know things of the eighth house. You know how to talk about the eighth house and be unashamed of it. It's also the house of the occult. And Scorpios are all about the occult. It's also power. So how do you get the clever, fun-loving sign to take things deep and seriously? Well, that's where the Scorpio power come in. You know all about the eighth house. You have an affinity for it. So when you communicate, when it comes to death, rebirth, the afterlife, and taxes, that's your element. And you're not ashamed to talk about it. So wherever your Mercury is, Scorpio, that's where you would really talk that over. And you may have to fight your siblings for inheritances left over by your father, your mother, or ancestors. But this is where you're all about. This is where you get clever and smart. So always use that to your advantage, Scorpios. Now, Mithuna Rasi in the 10th house. What does this mean for you? No, in the 9th house. 9th house. Sorry about that. We're talking about the Mithuna Rasi, or the Libra natives now. Again, this is a trinal or a trachona placement because it's an air sign for an air sign. For Libra ascendants, why are you so fair and balanced? Who were you listening to as a youth growing up? I could tell you. It was your father, your teacher, a spiritual guide, someone that you consider blessed, or a college professor. That's your ninth house. That's where Gemini is. So, your father was very intelligent, extroverted, outspoken, cared for the community, was involved in the local community. You have college professors and teachers that were highly mathematical, into literature, math, scientific studies, communications. This is where Librans get that balanced nature from. So fair and polite and friendly. Because their teachers, their gurus, the ones that they looked up to, were vibrant, clever, and vastly knowledgeable. Oh, Salem. Say hi to Salem, everyone. Just being rude. You know I'm doing a video. Don't do that. Go over there. Yeah, so ninth house. Think about what would Mercury do in the ninth house? It's the house of higher learning. You would learn a lot. That's why Librans are such nice people. They can get along with anyone because they've seen the world to where I know how everybody work and click with each other. And that explains your father. This is also the ninth house of blessings, which will activate certain things after marriage. I never really seen an angry Libra in my life. That's something. Everybody gets angry. Because I can look at your chart and see where your Mars is located. But you Librans do a good job at covering that up. Because your ninth house shows, I've seen a lot of good things and funny things, what I have to be mad about. But whatever your Mars is, I know where you're angry. Because Mars rules your second house of Scorpio. When you speak angry, but you do a good job covering it up. And Aries is your seventh house, so you must have angry partners, but you know how to calm them down. But you will lash out at your partner. That's where your anger goes. Now, Gemini in the 10th house. We are talking about the Kanya Rashis, or the Virgo ascendants. This is interesting. Because Mercury rules a Virgo's 10th and ascendant. So what does this say for Gemini being in a Virgo's 10th house? You may want to work concurrent jobs. You get bored with one career. With Gemini in your 10th house Virgos, you have to be doing so many things that involves multitasking. If you were to excel in your career and you receive all the accolades, you become bored with it because you still want to learn. Wherever Gemini is, you want to learn things. You want to make mistakes. I want to get my hands scratched because Gemini is naturally the hands. When you're doing something, you're going to get hurt or hit. But Gemini loves that because they can recall that scar on their knuckle or their finger. So if you're a Virgo and Gemini's in your 10th house, don't be surprised if you can't keep a job or if you're doing a side gig or a side hustle, as they would say. Because Gemini's got to keep learning. They got to keep busy. And Virgos naturally want to fix things. They want to solve problems and they want to be of service because Virgo is naturally the sixth sign. It has an affinity for the sixth house. With it ruling your Lagna and your 10th, which is a quadrant or a Kendra placement, wherever your Mercury is, Virgos, you have a duty to wherever that Mercury is placed. And Virgos always have an issue with a career. But you're here to be a service. You're a servant leader. So look where your Mercury is. That's where you would be of service. And that's where you would never, ever get bored. That's another thing. Wherever your Mercury is and you're bored, find out where it is. You will always have fun. Good placement for Virgos. If you have Gemini in your 11th house, we're now talking about the lions, Simha Rashi or Leo. This is the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams coming true. Once a Leo has finally accomplished everything, they want to have fun with their results. Imagine a Leo had a successful career, because Leos are real conservative about their careers because their 10th house is Taurus. The subsequent sign is Gemini. So with hope, wishes, and dreams coming true, a Leo is going to boast, brag, expound, and talk about it to the point of it is almost abysmal. So when you Leos accomplish something, you want to show off those rewards. You're going to talk about your raise, you're going to talk about your incentives, you're going to talk about your increases, and you're going to want to share it with your siblings because it's still the house of siblings. You may have an older sibling that's real clever, and Leos don't really rely on their intelligence, so they will be happy and delighted to tell their older brother or sister, look what I did. Look how I got it. And that's just the Leo's nature, is to brag about something. And with Gemini in your 11th house, oh, you best believe you're going to hear it all across social media. If you are a Leo ascendant with Gemini in the 11th house. So brag and boast all you want. Just be clever with it. Because when you do that, Leos, there's going to be hands out. Okay, you done all that? Can you help a brother out? So Leos, it's okay to boast in your glory. Just be careful. They're going to have their hands out, and Leos are very philanthropic. You're gonna have that charitable heart. All right, Leo. So it's okay. Just be careful who you say it to. And finally, Gemini in the 12th house. This is for those nourishing, loving Karkata natives or Cancer. Let me explain this to you, Cancers. With Gemini in your 12th house, don't be surprised that people don't see your intelligence side. Because this is the 12th house. This is the side no one can see but you. All right? Mostly Cancers develop dementia later in their life because they never relied on their intellect to survive. They relied on their heart. They're caring. They're nourishing. So if you were to meet a Cancer and they're alone, don't be surprised if they have their own personal library. A lot of people don't think they're smart. But it doesn't matter if you're smart, as long as you're smart to you. As long as you know how to speak. That's all that matters. If you're a Cancer and you're highly successful and you're used to public speaking, you didn't learn that naturally. You have to learn it the hard way. Any planet or any sign that's in the 12th house, you have to work twice as hard to achieve because it's the part that's behind you. It's the least area that you have to know about yourself. So Cancers, they can call you slow. They can call you not as bright. But you know you are. They just don't see it. The other realm sees it. Your higher self sees it. So if you got your Mercury in the 12th house, don't be amazed that people don't think you're smart. They just don't see it. They're not supposed to see it. Because it's your 12th house. Your intelligence is more spiritual. You're intelligent in your dreams. And you're intelligent to foreign dwellings. If you're an American and you have a Southeastern or an Australian audience, they would say you are brilliant. So embrace that, Karkata or Cancer natives. You're sweet people, man or woman. They may not think you're the brightest, but in foreign lands, you're a genius. So keep that in mind. Please subscribe to my channel. I enjoyed covering Gemini Mithuna Rasi natives today. So until we meet again, namaste, and the most interesting person in the world is you. We all have Gemini in our chart. Be blessed.